Can we please stand up for Pledge of Allegiance? And Corporal Kang, please lead us in pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can remain standing, please, for a moment of silence for our first responders and military that have lost their lives in the line of duty. You join me now, please. Thank you.
May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista.
Present.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Present.
Councilmember King.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
Mayor Samra.
Present.
For the record, council members, Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor are in attendance.
Thank you. Closed session announcements. There's no reportable action. Direction was given to staff. Change to the agenda. Anybody having changed the agenda at this time? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to item number 1. This is awards, presentations, and proclamations. We have a presentation by Stacy from Merced County Office of Education. Merced County Association of Governments. Still my before 5 o'clock job. Okay, so this is for the MCAG update, and welcome.
Thank you very much. I've been called a lot of things. That one's a new one, so thank you very much. And thank you for that introduction. Again, my name was Stacy Dabbs. Now it's Stacy Guzman. I'll answer to either or Guzman or Guzman or any of the above.
I think that's what threw me off because
Yeah,
I was not.
At some point, the dabs will go away, but I'm trying to ease into it gently.
Okay.
So we'll jump right in. So thank you for having us here tonight. I'm joined by my colleague, Mary Michael Rawling, who's our public affairs manager. I think that she and our colleague, Matt Fell, were here a few months ago, so we appreciate you giving us a few more minutes on your agenda. I am the executive director at MCAG, and as you know, we also administer TJPA, the bus, YARTS, and also Regional Waste Authority, so I'm going to give you a brief update on those agencies as well as very briefly on Measure V. When I accepted this position about a year ago, it was a goal of mine to get in front of every council, all of our member agencies twice a year. I felt like there just needed to be better communication, better sharing of information. So that's our intention moving forward. In about 6 months, we'll be back to talk about specifically just just Measure V. But tonight we'll kind of keep it a high level and talk about some relevant updates from all of the different work that we're doing at MCAG. So the presentation on the screen and in your packets, there's quite a few slides there, and there's some overview slides for all of the agencies. That's largely for the benefit of the public. I wanted that in your packet for that information and for them, for the public to be able to read through. But for the sake of time, I know this is not new information to many of you, so I'm going to try to focus largely on the updates. But as you know, our agency, which is 52 years old, was created to address regional transportation issues, but our role has really evolved over the years to also include public transit and waste management. The agency is a joint powers authority between all 6 cities, including the city of Livingston, and the county of Merced, and Councilmember Aguilar serves as one of our 11 board members. Part of the governance also includes a committee of all of the city managers and the county CAO, which Mr. Ramirez participates, as well as a citizens advisory committee that is the first to review all of the business of MCAG on a monthly basis and make recommendations to the governing board on any action that might be taken. So I'll mention briefly that our core function, while we have hands in a lot of different pots, our core function is on regional transportation planning. And there's really 2 main roles that you can boil that down to. One of them is that we look 20 to 25 years into the future to try to anticipate the multimodal transportation needs of our regional system and how our existing and anticipated funding sources can be used to meet those needs. We call it our crystal ball. We have to look at that crystal ball and say, man, how are our travel patterns going to change? How are commutes and how are the types of modes of travel how is all that going to change, and how are we going to meet those needs? And then the second part is, once we have that long-term plan, is that we help deliver local and regional transportation projects through funding partnerships and programs. And I think Livingston is one of the best and most recent examples of what that looks like, because it really means leveraging. So I think the Gold Star project that we have that's right here in this community is the Highway 99 Livingston Median Widening Project. And that's here on 99. It would look to widen 4 to 6 lanes on 99 from here to the county line, essentially, at Stanislaus County. And how that happened was Caltrans came and said, hey, MCAG, if you could put in $5.5 million, we can bring the rest, and we can together deliver a $75.5 million project. That's leveraging. That's what we want to see happen, and that's a role that MCAG can help play in delivering those large and expensive projects to the region. Atwater Merced Expresso is probably the other big item that had a similar story, not to the same tune. It was closer to a 50-50, but the same idea that you incentivize that investment from the state. So a few updates on the MCAG side. I think one that's important particularly to this community of Livingston is the Ana Maria Fuentes Scholarship Program. This is a scholarship that's in honor of Ana Fuentes, who was a MCAG employee from Livingston. She passed away unexpectedly several years ago. I had the pleasure of knowing her but not working with her. And it continues to be funded by donations from former staff, current staff, former board members, current board members, members of the public, Citizens Advisory Committee members. We have donations coming from all different directions. And it's a really great opportunity where we're able to offer a $1,000 scholarship to a graduating senior with a GPA from any high school in Merced County with a GPA of 3.8 or higher, and that has demonstrated leadership roles and community service, and that upon academic performance, once in college, they can continue to receive $1,000 for up to 4 years. So it's a $4,000 scholarship for a local college student. That application is available now. The applications are due. They're on our website. You can get them at our office. Either Mary Michael or I can give you more information, and they're due at the end of February. Also want to mention our One Voice program. The 2020 One Voice program is kicking off. This is our annual federal advocacy trip to Washington, D.C. I know several members of the council are familiar with this program. We've participated in the past. Our first meeting is in January, so we are asking each city council to work on appointing the 2 delegates that would be going on the trip, and also begin to identify what your federal asks or federal priorities will be for the program. The trip is scheduled for May 5th through 8th of 2020. Again, it's to Washington, D.C. I think it is important to note for this particular program some of the successes that our communities have seen. Just before the meeting started, we were kind of having trying to recall some of the most recent ones. And the first one that came to mind, and I confirmed this with the mayor, was a meeting with, I think it was the COPS program, and that the city was able to get a grant to add, I think, 1 officer, I think it was, to your force through that program. Also some water infrastructure funding, and a number. It's really an exciting program, I think, because we go there thinking, oh, we need money for this project, and then you get in these meetings with other agencies and authorities, and you realize there's a funding program for this need that we didn't even know about, or here's a program or a funding pot that they're telling you no one ever applies for, so you have a great chance, just put in the application. So it's been a really great program, not to just network our local elected officials, but to make connections to resources that are in Washington, and we've seen some fruit of that labor here in Livingston. Lastly, or actually the other 2 events I want to mention, we are hosting a DBE workshop. That's a Disadvantaged Business Enterprise workshop on November 15th in Merced at the Civic Center. A DBE is a small business that is owned by a minority population or women and veterans, but that's a little different of a category, but I still think it's important to note. So if you have small businesses that are minority owned, women owned, veteran owned, you can become a disadvantaged business Enterprise, which is a certification process that you'll go through with Caltrans. You can do it at the workshop, which is for free, and it helps small businesses be more competitive for contracts, one of which is the bus. We're federally funded, so we have purchases and transactions that we do, and we actually have goals that a certain percentage of our business we try to do with DBEs. So we host this event every year to help local businesses become DBE certified and more competitive for those contracts. And then lastly, just a plug, save the date. Everyone in the room is welcome, family, friends. Our annual open house at MCAG on December 19th at 5 o'clock. That's at our office downtown on 18th and K Street in Merced. I'm going to be very brief with Measure V because I just gave you a whole lot of information 6 months ago, and I'll be back in 6 months more. But I do think the most important takeaway is that right now is that Measure V, the money is coming in higher than what we were anticipating. So we expected about $15 million a year. In total, since April of 17, we've actually generated $42 million. And it's important that all of those dollars have to be spent in Merced County, and 50% of them have to be spent by the local jurisdictions. So what that means for Livingston is that there has been $21 million that have come to local jurisdictions, and just about $1 million of that, and we're a few months behind because there's a lag in when the data comes in. So by this point, I'm confident that you've breached $1 million that has come to the city of Livingston, and this council gets to decide how that money is spent in your community. Also important to note that there are regional dollars, and Livingston has done very well in attracting or in getting the support for regional project investments. Both the Highway 99 Winton Parkway on-ramp widening project received allocation for the regional dollars, as did $1 million for the Hammett and Campbell intersection improvements. And then the Livingston Transit Center had a $1.9 million programming amount for fiscal year 24-25. For the bus, I will mention that the bus. We talk about the bus, and then there's the bus with the capital T, capital B, which only exists in also Hawaii. So if you just Google the bus, you might be in Honolulu. But our bus won't take you to Honolulu, unfortunately. So we do provide fixed route service and paratransit service. We are the single county, the single public transportation system in Merced County. We have ridership of just under 1 million. It's been on the rise, largely thanks to the Measure V program. That because of Measure V, we are able to offer seniors, veterans, and ADA eligible passengers free service countywide on our fixed route system, which serves the residents here in Livingston as well. And a couple of updates quickly on the bus. There's a few things that I want to mention. One is for several years we've had a great partnership with UC Merced that they provide a fare box subsidy, and all that means is that they give us a fixed fee, and it allows their students, UC students, to ride our system countywide for free on the fixed route. We're happy to announce that we have just secured a similar partnership with Merced College. So any Merced College students now will be able to ride our fixed route system for free starting, we're hoping, by the spring semester. So that means that any local UC Merced or Merced College student can get on our fixed route system anywhere in the county and ride it for free. The other timely announcement is that we do an annual program with the county HSA and the Sheriff's Department called Stuff the Bus. We'll have a bus out at Barnes & Noble in Merced on November 30th from 10 to 4, and we'll be accepting unwrapped new toys, cash donations, gift cards, and all of it will be benefiting foster youth and at-risk youth in Merced County. A couple of things looking into the new year for 2020. We will be getting our first electric bus. We were in a partnership with the city of Merced and got a grant that included the purchase of our very first electric bus. We will be transitioning to a new contractor. That's the contractor that we partner with that provides the actual operations and the maintenance of our system. And once that new contractor's in place, we'll be doing a fleet assessment to look at all of our buses that have reached their useful life and to determine the policy of how we're going to dispose of them. I know the city of Livingston has received some of those buses in the past, and I have heard from the chief that there's interest in additional buses, so I have not forgotten. But we're in final negotiations with our new contractor, and then we'll be able to do that assessment. And then lastly, for transit, the 3 studies that I want to mention I think are pretty exciting because they make a lot of sense as we look into the future, is that we're doing a study to look at how our transit system needs to serve our rail investments. So as ACE and High Speed and Amtrak start to morph and take shape in our communities, how are we going to make sure that our transit system is connecting to those and serving the riders so that we can make sure that those are multimodal connections and that they're seamless? The other is looking at the commuters that are going over the hill, largely out of the west side, over Pacheco to the greater San Jose area, and how we can use transit services to alleviate some of that congestion. And then also, we're already underway in a partnership with UC Merced to look at how their transit system and the bus can operate more efficiently together, or even potentially consolidate to provide better service. For YARTS, again, this is our public transit system that provides service to Yosemite National Park. We operate out of Merced, Mariposa, Madera, Fresno, Tuolumne, and Mono counties during the summer months, and that makes sense because you can imagine the passes that we have to go over in snow and inclement weather. But we do provide round-trip service from Merced to Yosemite all year round for $32. It includes your gate fee. It's a wonderful drive. You don't have to worry about chains or any of that stuff in the winter. But the exciting news is that right now we do have a grant that for Merced County residents, limit of 2 per household while supplies last. That $32 round trip ticket per person is now $7.50. So it's a great time to get on YARTS and get up to the park. And then I think the best deal in town right now is on November 10th and 11th. It's absolutely free service on YARTS, but I will warn you, it is not for the faint of heart because people go and stand in line before the sun and get on the first bus, and it is a wildly popular program on our free days. I'm the kind of person that would pay the $7.50 and just make my reservation and not have to get up at 4 in the morning, but you know, to each his own. We are celebrating 20 years of service. You'll be seeing an invitation later or into 2020 for that celebration that will be in May of 2020. We're exploring how we can expand our service in the greater park area to operate shuttles. So once you get in the park, you can use the shuttle from different points of the park to get into the valley. And we're also looking to transition to electric buses, but as you can imagine, the grade ability and the distance and the challenges that would come with trying to operate an electric vehicle over Tioga Pass or even up 140 into the park. So, but that is something that we are looking into. And I promise I'm almost done. Last agency, Regional Waste Authority. Just as a reminder, we operate the 2 landfills, the one out on Highway 59 just north of Merced and the Billy Wright landfill on the west side of Los Banos. I always like to just put the plug out to the community that Merced residents can bring out mattresses, cardboard, asphalt, clean concrete, which basically means no rebar, and can dispose of those for free at our facilities. And we also sell throughout the year different products like compost and fill dirt and wood chips and shreds. And if you have a bigger than a typical home project, but not too big, you can get these types of products available at our facility. And a couple of really quick updates. I'm really excited to announce that we have a new RWA director. Many of you might have met Brooke Stair, who's with the agency for 5 or 6 years. He's since accepted a job and is on the Central Coast. Can't blame him, he's on the beach, which is now 2 directors that we've lost in different capacities to the Central Coast in the last 5 years. Eric Zetz, he is a Valley native from the city, most of his career was spent with the city of Clovis, has a wealth of experience, very familiar with our facilities and our team, so he's been on for about 3 weeks, and his focus is the authority's 2 main projects, which is a long-standing project we have with UC Merced that we're exploring how to use the methane at the facility to pipe it over to UC Merced as an alternative energy source for them. We are really making great progress on seeing how that project would pencil out for the authority. And then the second is that if you have not heard yet about this topic, you will soon, and you will from us for sure, is we just brought on a consultant to help all jurisdictions that have to meet state mandate to divert your food waste. So, you have, some communities have blue bins, we all have our gray bins. You could separate your lawn clippings and your cardboard, but now they're talking about businesses first and then eventually residents that will have to start separating food waste, so your food scraps not going into your garbage can and being a whole separate stream of waste. And so we are gonna be working one-on-one with all the jurisdictions about how you'll comply with that locally, and then how we will handle that food waste once it gets to the Highway 59 landfill. And that's it. That was my summary.
Very good. Very good. You were fast.
I'm sorry, but I figured if I hit
No,
something that was of
it's-
interest, you'd ask me a question.
Of course. I'm gonna go and open up. Does anybody from the audience, public, wish to ask any questions of Stacy? Please come forward. And Supervisor, you may go next. Will you be asking as a supervisor or as a resident? Okay.
Hi, Jose Moran, 945 Parkview Drive. Great presentation. Really amazing at everything you guys do over there. Just one question. I saw that there is a partnership between UC Merced and MC with transit. Has there been any conversations in regards to high school students, which is the same district for Merced, Atwater, and Livingston? Because I know for a fact there's students that are not able to, that are not within a certain number of miles where schools can provide that transportation for them to go to and from school. And I think that that could be very useful and something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. We had looked at it all comes down to how that fare box, if a passenger is going to come on and pay for that amount, and they're no longer going to do that, who is going to do that for them? So in the instance of Merced College and the UC, they are instituting student fees that they're collecting, that is basically collecting for all the students and then paying us so that the student isn't having to pay it every time. We've looked at high school students in the Measure V program, and if we would be able to just have a blanket program. The problem is that as a public transit agency, we cannot provide school bus service. So we can, as a public transit agency, provide the service to the school. We could serve a stop that is in a neighborhood, but we couldn't provide actual service to the school for a student. It's prohibited for us as a public transit agency. But we are always keeping an eye on the possibility of, in terms of just our existing service and providing it for free for all students, we're just trying to figure out how that could ever financially be feasible with the revenue that we have. But it's on the top of our mind.
Just,
I know, I'm surprised. When he said he's got a question, I was wondering, was that?
well, a comment and a question. The comment is that I know that we met with Caltrans this week with I can't remember Dan, and Stacy and Public Works Director on the update on the northbound. And I don't know if you stated it, but I know that they're supposed to have a meeting, the grand opening in January, just right. And that's that one. And also, I saw that you stated that the $1.9 million for the Livingston Transportation Center was 24-25. But I think that we were in this room when we met with the MCAG meeting. I think it was 2021-22. So I don't know if you can double check the year, because I know that all the way to 2024-25 is a few more years, and I think if we can have that transportation center here before that would be a lot better. So unless, depending on the city, if they're ready for with the engineering and all that stuff in the future. So I know that Council Member Juan Aguilar, I don't know if you remember the dates, but I think it was 21, 22 around there. 24, 25? Okay. I just want to make sure.
We pulled that $1 million to earlier in exchange to push the transit out.
Delay that? Oh, okay. So I was wrong. Apologize. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else from the public wish to ask a question for MCAG? If not, Council?
I have
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. We'll start out with Councilmember. Go ahead, please.
Stacy, I just want to say, good job on your summary. It's always a pleasure working with you. You guys do a great job with MCAG. Mary Michael, same thing. I know you have a very dedicated staff, so I commend you for all the hard work you do. Just quick comment, if you could inform the public when the MCAG meetings are held and times.
Sure. I wondered if thank you for the compliment on our team. I think half of them are from Livingston, so I thought maybe that's what you, yeah. So thank you. Our governing board meets typically, and it's only on a rare occasion that it's not on the third Thursday of the month at 3 o'clock, and the meeting locations rotate. Every other meeting is at the County Board of Supervisors chambers, and then the jurisdictions take turns hosting. So the best way, if not calling our office, is to check on our website if you want to visit. Our next meeting is November 21st in the city of Dos Palos, which means that the December meeting is December 19th at the county chambers at 3 o'clock.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Stacey, I just also want to say thank you for all the work you guys do. But my question is, how important is it for council members to attend the One Voice trip and represent their city? Can you talk about that, please?
Sure. So I've been involved with the One Voice program, I think, since it started. So I'll tell you from two perspectives. I was originally in the congressman's office, and I attended with the local delegation. And at that time, it was really important for my boss at that time, and so our congresspeople now, to see the local support. So their job, as you can imagine, when they're trying to support their district, they're getting meetings and phone calls and requests from people from all over their district, not in their district, different interest groups. So when they have a delegation that says, here we are and we have one voice and here are the things we want to talk to you about, and we want to talk to your colleagues about, and you represent, and there's a delegation that's full of your city officials, that's very powerful, because it's not 8 meetings with 8 different, or in our instance, in our situation, 7 meetings with 7 different priority lists. It's one meeting from Merced County that it has all of our local jurisdictions and the elected officials and the leadership that come and say, this is what's important to Merced County as a region. And that was really powerful from the elected official, the congressperson's standpoint. I think from now that I'm in this position, I think what's really important is that we can do a lot of work to try to prepare our jurisdictions to go on this trip. But when I'm sitting in a room, and I feel like I'm pretty well connected with your board member and with several of you that I've worked with in different times, but if I'm sitting in a meeting and I have a federal official talking about Program X and Program Y, I'm thinking transportation and transit. If, Councilman Aguilar is sitting there, he's going to be the one to say, oh, they just talked about a water infrastructure program and my community can benefit from that. I'm not going to have that kind of local insight. I would like to, but I just don't. So those opportunities that really are going to match your community are only going to be recognized by local participation from your council. I can help on transportation and transit, but after that, it gets pretty tough. So that's where I think communities that don't participate can lose. You don't know what you're missing out on, but you're not giving yourself the best chance to maximize those federal dollars that are there. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
It does, thank you.
And just to add a little bit more, being part of the planning process, the council members, just information in general, you get to say what's going to be discussed, what kind of agencies we're going to visit and meet up with. So it's very important for the planning as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just to add, I have attended a few of the One Voice. It was always been a great learning experience. And to point out, and city manager can back this up here, we were through One Voice at the EPA. And through general discussion, we found out the state was sitting on $500 million worth of money for water, and we were able to find that out and get that money. So this is how like I said, the staff is focused on transit things, but we were focused on issues that are local to us, which is water, which has always been one of our high priorities. We were able to find that out, and along with Cops Grant, when you get there, you listen to them, you find out a lot more than you're actually prepared for, because you never know which way or what you're going to come up with, And so anybody else have any questions for Stacy?
I have a question. In regards to your free community cleanup days and disposal of mattresses and recyclables, what does that look like? Is that a daily thing, an annual thing?
So we have scheduled community cleanup days, and I think ours was in April of last year here in 19. Those are usually annual by community, where we partner with the local jurisdiction, and I think we're building that schedule right now for the 2020 year. So that's a designated day. That's the local community cleanup day for your city. When it comes to mattresses, so if you're a resident, meaning you're not you're limited to how many you can bring in. So like if you have a few in your household that you want, you can just take those out there. And we have bins, and we have, I can't even remember the program. We have tire amnesty and mattress something or other, where you can just bring those out, and when you get to the scale house, you tell them, I've got 2 mattresses, and you can drive out to the lot and they'll dispose of them for you. So all of the other things are daily, with the exception of our normal business hours, with the exception of household hazardous waste. So there's hazardous waste that we have specific hazardous waste collection events, and those are a little bit different because that's not material that we can accept we don't want you coming in, loading it out of your car and setting it on the ground. We need to manage how that's handled. Is there anything you wanted to add? Mary Michael's been a little bit more hands-on with some of those events, but anything else?
We're building a schedule right now, and so if we have some dates.
Yep.
The reason why I ask is my concern is with our local farmers. I know that we participate as a resident in those recycling days and those green waste days, but even now when I drive down Peach, somebody has dumped a load of sycamore trunks right outside our city limits. You go down any county road, there are mattresses galore, and they're even on our city streets. Our residents don't have like a storage to keep these. They don't want to keep them in their homes. They just bought new mattresses. They don't want to keep them in their homes. They're going to dump them. And I'm seeing that affect our farmers. And I say residents because for me, I'm gathering that farmers aren't dumping on farmers. And it's costing them money, and it's costing them their help, and it's costing the city, if it's within city limits, it's costing our cities to take our public works people and clean up those messes as well. I mean, what can be done for our residents so that they don't have to hold on to those items rather than go to Merced of transportation, or even a trailer to even haul that mess in.
So what to do with those bulky items outside of our annual events or whatever those are? Because, from our perspective, we have a really interesting arrangement that you don't see in other communities, where the Regional Waste Authority is the disposal authority and the jurisdictions have hauling contracts. So we aren't involved with your collection and your hauling and all of that. So that's not normal. Or it's not usual. So we often are trying to find ways to get grants so that we could accept product for free, but there's very little we can do on getting material to us because our jurisdiction starts when you bring it onto our property. It's a unique arrangement that is not the normal arrangement. It's been like that for a little while. So now we have this tire amnesty program and we have the mattress program. So the best thing we try to do is to have it be free, if not very affordable for people to bring them. That's the illegal dumping issue and the transport issue have been chronic challenges. What we have tried to do, at least on our stretch of 59, is try to address some of the illegal dumping and trash by, we have a small contract with Restore Merced that they come out and help do that. I know it's not the answer that you probably want to hear because it costs more money, but the city of Merced, their approach, because they were spending so much money on illegal dumping, that they are opening basically a drop-off facility in town where people can take stuff there, and then their hauler is taking it from there to our facility. There's no one answer, but it's a chronic problem, not just with us, but in the industry. I wish I had better suggestions, but it's something that I can at least talk with our new director about and to see if in his experience in other communities, how they've been able to address it. And we can follow up. And Mary Michael is gonna give you an answer,
So
I don't have.
Actually, the conversation just happened today. That Regional Waste actually is in partnership with the new partnership, I think, with the Mattress Recycling Council, and just had a conversation with a gentleman there today about wanting to do more outreach and education about mattress recycling. And so this is really good feedback, and perhaps we can start maybe a small campaign, just educational campaign in Livingston. A lot of it, people just don't know they can recycle their mattresses for free. And so in addition to the community cleanup, maybe spend a little bit more time with the residents here, telling them about the fact that it is illegal and that they can take it to dispose of for free.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, one thing, and maybe we'll probably talk about it and send it through our representative, our supervisor. Is there anything prohibiting MCAG of doing animal control or some sort of care facility?
I'm done. See you later.
No, just a question, because
Animal control. I know what would happen. I would end up having a farm in my backyard. I don't turn away animals very well. So technically, is there something? So I actually just read our joint powers agreement today again, and every time I read it, I learn something else. And I was actually really surprised with how broad the statement is about what the jurisdiction, what the agency could do. It is really about addressing regional problems, and that all the jurisdictions would have to agree to do, and then what kind of a fee structure and everything. But I think my gut answer, based on what I read today, is there would be nothing to prohibit that from happening.
Yeah, it was just more of,
That pains me to say.
Merced's got, resources, whatever, but some of the smaller cities, it's kind of difficult and expensive to keep it going, And loose dogs and cats and all that is one of our major concerns, and I'm sure it's for other cities as well. So it was more of just thinking out loud, not anything, And we'll send it with our representative and see if there's anything on the other end about it,
I think the unfortunate, the immediate answer is that it'll be costly for us to do too. But it would just be on a broader scale, because, just the staff and the training and the resources and the infrastructure and the equipment but that, there's that would be a regional cost, but in terms of like the statutory, I don't think there's anything in our JPA. We are a regional body that can be, by consensus of our jurisdictions, can be assigned regional roles.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we'll move on to next item. It's announcements and reports. Supervisor Espinoza. Thank you.
Well, before Stacy leaves, I just want to say that Stacy's been doing a wonderful job as executive director of MCG. So, Stacy, thank you, and you and your staff.
Should I stay? I feel like I should stay now.
No, you can go and relax. I know. Have a good night. Thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make the last MCAG meeting. I don't know if Councilmember Aguilar made it. I had on there to propose to move the meetings from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 hours later, because obviously sometimes it's harder for some council members or mayors to make it, but especially for our bosses, the public. I think it's a lot better in time, and the county as well. I'm going to put that on the agenda for the county as well, because I feel that we're there for the citizens, and the meeting should be after 5 o'clock when everybody's out of work and able to watch on TV if available. And I'm also pushing for televised meetings, and I think they're moving forward with that. They're starting to video the MCAG meetings as well, because it's a separate government from the county. It's not a county agency; it's its own government. So it spends a lot of money, takes in a lot of grant money from federally and statewide. So we have a lot of projects in the county. So I mean, in MCAG, and so a lot of funds go through there, and it's very major important for the public to know what's going on. And you know, if you that way you can see a live stream or on YouTube when you can, and you know, give input more to MCAG because we make very important, you know, high dollar votes under MCAG. So, you know, in regards to the comments from the Mayor Pro Tem, I think that the One Voice program is very important for all the cities to attend when they can with the one under the One Voice. I went with the mayor a few times myself when I was here in Livingston. And in the county, I haven't been able to go, and so I went over a few times, so I haven't. They asked me this year if I wanted to go, and I chose not to, and several other members went on. So, but other than that, I think it's very important for, you know, we tried to get a couple of times the Tiger Grant, and it's very competitive throughout the United States, and a lot of cities and counties don't get the dollars, but the ones that do, you know, it impacts the communities a lot. So it's very important for where whatever city can send the members. So moving on to my, I attended a homelessness conference yesterday in Sacramento. It's just a one day, and it was put on by the CSAC, California State Association of Counties, and the League of Cities. And it was stated that about a quarter of the homeless is in California, and most of the veterans as well that are homeless are in California. So it's very important for the government agencies to do something about it. Even though, you know, everybody blames the government agencies, but we're also learning. We always have new council members, mayors coming in, and so we're all in the same boat trying to learn and take in as much as we can. That's why I attended, and you know, to learn what we can do. So I know that for the budget of 2020, the governor put on there $650 million. It was like $200 million for the COC, which is the continuum of care, and $190 million for the counties and the rest for the cities. But it was over a 5-year plan that will be implemented, and hopefully we can use that money, you know, very well in the cities. And I know there was another grant for about $900 million for housing. It seems like a lot of money, but when you send it out to the whole state, it's not really a lot of money. So I also attended the Los Banos Veterans Parade. You know, it's not my district, but I think that showing yourself all around the county is very important, so that way that, you know, they know that you're trying to do the best that you can in the whole county as well. Because when we vote for the whole county. So I just want to say thank you, veteran. I know Mayor Pro Tem is a veteran, so thank you very much. And I'll be coming out on the Merced Veterans Parade, and I don't know if I can make the Livingston one because I know it's almost at the same time, 2 o'clock in Merced and 3 o'clock here, so it's gonna be tough. So I also had like I stated earlier, a meeting with Caltrans regarding the roundabout in Highway 140 in Planada, 59, Highway 59, the bridge over Mariposa Creek, which is on Highway 59 coming from Los Banos into Merced, which is very important because it gets flooded every year. And so I think that's all for me, in case there's any questions from the public or...
Does the public have any questions for Supervisor Espinoza? No?
Thank you.
Council, any questions?
Again, I just wanted to ask the question, was there any follow-up on the the veterans funding that you had mentioned?
No, I haven't gotten able to, but I'll double check it. I apologize for that. Thank you. That's all.
I got it. So.
Go ahead.
Upon the tax sharing agreement that the county just voted on just recently, and you were here present during our last council meeting?
Correct.
And our direction with that? So why wasn't any of that information passed on to them before their vote?
Actually, it was because I got a text from Council Member Gagandip, and you know, it doesn't, just because the county voted on, doesn't mean that the city can't change it, can't modify it. And actually today it was we had a public meeting and we approved it again. And, but it's up to the city. I think that I would like to get together with every council member and see what we can do to, like, see if you guys want any minor changes or change something else, we can change it. I wasn't able to speak before, but now that it's public information, I can gladly sit with you guys. So, but it has. I know it was going to pass anyway if I want to vote for it, but I think that getting together and getting more information will help in getting it on the agenda, or I'll sit down again with the county. We can still sit down, so if you guys want that, let me know, and then I'll check with our Darren McDaniel. Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a draft, and I think that. Correct. Well, we had a draft that was sent out to from the county over here, and they voted on that. Just like Livingston can vote on anything they want, but on the other side, if there's no agreement, then there's no agreement. Even if Livingston or the county voted on it.
But if something went to them in writing,
Uh-huh.
we assume that was the position. And if they voted on it, it could be assumed that it would be accepted. There's some assumptions there. It sounds.
Okay.
Well, no draft is going to be perfect because we're going back and forth, and so if they're hoping that it moves forward and it get this council to approve it, then. But if it doesn't get approved, then I guess obviously we have to go back on the table. Okay.
Any other further questions? No. Thank you,
you.
Supervisor.
I might need the city attorney to help on this one, or anyone up there. Catherine Shell Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163. If I am understanding the conversation correctly, the tax sharing agreement proposal that the council rejected went to the county board of supervisors anyway, and they voted to accept it, even though this council rejected it. Well, it died, not either way.
Ms.
It's
Duffy,
rejected.
please.
It's okay. It's okay. I understand.
No, you can't have.
Am I understanding correctly? Is that even though this council did not vote to adopt it, and even though this council stated by its group decision that they wanted to go back to the bargaining table, the county voted to adopt that tax sharing agreement or accept that tax sharing agreement as written, even though this body did not accept it. Am I understanding that correctly?
Supervisor, do you wish to respond?
Well, to me, it's a proposal, I think, for both sides when they work something out. But but it's not effective until both parties agree. That's a contract, standard contract.
Yeah.
So I can send you any contract, but if we both don't agree, it's just a contract. right?
That's correct.
So, I can put whatever I want on there, and I can vote on it, I can sign it, but it's not effective until the other party agrees. That's the way I take it, right? So,
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor.
you want to ask?
So if the city was gonna negotiate it, since you guys passed it,
Can you state your name?
my name is Adnan Bath, address 1623 9th Street, Livingston, California. So if the city was to counterback at the county, would the county respond that we already approved this, so we were not gonna negotiate it because you guys already passed it? Or how does that work with the negotiating now? That you guys approved it and they have it. So when it comes to negotiation, are you guys gonna respond back, we approved this, this is on the table, take it or leave it, if not, we have no agreement? Is that how it is?
Well, correct, because we have been without an agreement, I'm saying, for Livingston, and for, over 10 years, 11 years since 2008. And if if Livingston's not going to approve it, then we're going to go back to the same thing. Whenever both parties want to get together and talk something, or send the city manager and the CEO to get together and work something out. Because if one side doesn't want to work together, then obviously the county has an edge because Livingston can't grow anymore. We're to the walls. And so if the community wants to grow, the county has the leverage, and the council needs to decide whether they try to negotiate. It doesn't mean that the county is not going to try and negotiate. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. All right, thank you again. Okay,
More questions?
moving on to staff announcements and reports, and we'll start out with planning. Any staff reports?
Randy Hatch, your contract city planner. I did want to briefly update you on some work I've been doing on the city's behalf for the 2020 U.S. Census. I have participated in the local update of census addresses, a program, and submitted 350 residential addresses that were not in the census files, representing much of the new subdivisions that have been developed in the last couple of years. I received feedback from the census. They accepted all of those addresses except 14, which confused me because those 14 have people living in them. They're real addresses. And so I submitted an appeal for those 14, and I got word back that the appeal was timely filed and they'll get back to me with their determination. I also participated in the new construction program of the U.S. Census and submitted 12 additional addresses just in the last month and a half of new construction that has been done again in the new residential areas. So anyway, I'm diligently trying to make sure that we have a proper and complete listing of all the residential addresses in the city so that we can have the most complete and accurate count for the upcoming census as possible, because it means money to the city. And so I just wanted to apprise the city of those efforts, and don't have really any other reports at this time. If there's any questions.
Council, any questions? Public? Thank you, Mr. Hatch.
Okay.
Public Works?
Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor, council members, members of the public. Anthony Chavarria, Public Works. I'm here this evening to present our monthly report. This first picture is of our operations staff conducting storm inlet maintenance. It's really important to remove debris to allow proper drainage. As over the summer, spring, debris starts to build up in our inlets, slowing down our drainage or flow. As you can see the picture on the left, bunch of leaves, sand, dirt, debris. That's not cleaned out. When we have precipitation events, that's where we start to see the ponding, the flooding in our streets. Picture on the right is how it should look. Pump station maintenance. It's extremely important because it doesn't matter how good we clean those inlets, if our pumps aren't working, we're going to back up. Our operations staff, they clean out the debris in these pump stations, check for proper operation, making sure these pumps are ready to start when we need them. Here's a picture of our new trimmer. It's actually a video. Monica, if you could play the video. It's a short clip. The trimmer is specifically to be used in our LMDs. So you can see that blade pivot so we could cut the top of the hedge, the face. Can you play this video as well, Monica? It's a trimmer in action. Yeah. We don't have a large parks and LMD crew, so having the right equipment for the job's super important. This piece of equipment is going to help us become more efficient and just reduce liability. When I say reduce liability, the guys currently are holding heavy equipment up high, walking the entire, and you see our LMDs, they're pretty long and labor intensive. So that starts to hurt your shoulders, your lower back. It's a great piece of equipment. Stump grinding. This is our LMD and Park stump grinding. I don't know if anybody's ever seen stump grinding, but can you play this video as well, Monica? This is our Bobcat and an attachment for the Bobcat. There's multiple attachments that we have for that piece of equipment. That's stump grinding. So a few pictures of paving the roundabout. It's not a blank page. Monica, can you press play, please? Piano key crosswalk painting. I went a little crazy with the videos here. I don't see any respirators either. It's like the smell. As you can see, they came out really nice. It's a picture of Memorial Playground equipment, our new playground. It's a picture of our Public Works sponsored barbecue. You see on the right, we got Tony Avina, Jesus, the mayor back there, Corporal Wapinder, Tommy Mejia. The city manager in deep conversation with Catherine on the left. On the right, well, we still got the mayor back there behind the barbecue pit.
We didn't want to give you any hot dogs.
Had my wife come out to help as well. On the picture on the left. My son on the left wanted to try out the new equipment. It's a picture of Tony serving hot dogs to some of the families out there. Picture of our council. Nice hats, by the way. Thank you all for coming. Our city manager. What happened to your hat?
I also noticed a couple of others not wearing the hat. I don't know.
A big thank you to Tony Avina, Jesus Chavez, and Tommy Mejia for donating their time and resources for the new playground barbecue that we had out there. They did it on their own time and donated their funds. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Measure V, Briarwood project. So you can see we had a small sinkhole that caused some damage, our curb and gutter, and it created some trip hazards in our sidewalk. Picture on the right, you can see some rolled asphalt on the corner there, creating a trip hazard as well. That was all cut out, demoed, and repaired. This was funded by Measure V. It is ADA compliant now. Yeah. Here's a picture of our maintenance staff putting in a new rain gutter over the mural. SB 1383. Now, Stacy did touch on that briefly at the end of her presentation. I'll touch on it a bit more. What is SB 1383? Senate bill measure ultimately requires a 75% reduction of the level of statewide disposal of organic waste by 2025. Additionally, jurisdictions will need to implement programs to recover 20% of commercial edible food from disposal. A jurisdiction may designate a public or private entity to fulfill many of its responsibilities, but the jurisdiction is ultimately responsible for compliance. Some key dates: January 1st, 2022, we're going to need to adopt an enforceable ordinance or the mechanism for organic waste collection services, develop inspection, compliance review, and enforcement programs, adopt an ordinance providing for recycling in accordance with the California Green Building Standards. I will be attending an SB 1383 presentation put on by Cal Recycle December 11th at 2 p.m. in Modesto. I invite anybody from council that may want to attend if you have the time. It's going to be a lot of information. And this is just the beginning. There still are more requirements. This assembly bill will be another financial hardship for local jurisdictions, as there are no grants or funding to help the cities develop these programs. And that's all. Any questions?
Does public have any questions? Please go up there and.
My name is Ron Mallarney. I am the pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church across the street from Memorial Park. My question is our finance team would really like to know why we're being billed for 2 trash cans one of them for green service, and we only have one can, and that's for the church and for the parsonage.
That's something we'll have to check with City Hall on our billing team. And you're from what? Emmanuel Baptist Church.
Sir, we will be getting back with you, okay? Any other questions for Public Works? If not, council, any questions? Okay, Recreation?
Good evening, everyone. I have a few announcements for everyone tonight. First of all, I just want to say Trunk or Treat was a great success. It was nice to see the mayor and council member Aguilar out there wrestling T-Rex and saving the city. That was wonderful. Thank you. We finished our basketball registration, and we're still in need of 2 3rd and 4th grade boys coaches. So if you can help, give us a call. And we also need 1 5th through 8th grade girls coach. The Rec Commission is going to be conducting a survey, and we're going to try to get it online, as well as our teen council. And that is preparing us for our recreation fee study that we're doing to get community input. So we'll be excited to come back to you guys with what our findings are. Also, the Lighted Christmas Parade is just around the corner. Friday, December 6th, we'll need all of our council members to meet behind City Hall at 6:45 to get picked up for the parade route. We also have our cord of trees that we have for sale. They're $30 a piece, and our deadline is when all 50 trees are sold. I do want to report, and Juan, you may expand on this, but we had our first meeting with our teen council. We have a really good group of kids. They're excited about serving the community and excited about what they can bring to the table. So with that, I have nothing else to report.
Okay, does public have any questions for Recreation? Not council? Thank you. Engineering?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public, Mario Gouveia, City Engineer. Just a couple of updates. As you know, the roundabout's almost done. We still need some of the signs, and there's a backlog on delivery of those, so that's why it's kind of taking a little longer on getting that one done. And the TCP treatment at wells 14 and 16 is out to bid. It started bidding last week, so it'll be receiving bids here in about a month, and you'll see some activity early next year.
Okay.
That's about all I have for tonight. And if you have any questions,
Public, any
glad to
questions
answer
for engineering? Council? Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance, any updates?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Brad Grant, Interim Finance Director. I just wanted to update the council on what is happening with the switch from West America Bank to F&M Bank, which was approved a few meetings ago. We're probably about 2/3 of our way in transition. The payroll that will actually go out this week will be paid out of F&M Bank. The checks that you'll be approving tonight, or the warrants, will actually come out of West America Bank, and the next one should be out of F&M Bank. So they have been great to work with. You made an excellent choice in choosing F&M as the bank, and I just want you to know that Livingston truly is in the 21st century when it comes to banking now, because we transmit all of our checks to the bank via scanner. We don't take them to the bank anymore. We just put them in a machine, and the bank gets it, and we have good funds immediately. So that's an excellent step for the city, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with them. I spoke to Stan Carlson probably a week and a half ago. I said, Stan, when are you moving to Livingston? He said, we're working on it, whatever that means. But I guess they've looked at several sites, and I don't have any more information. Maybe you are privy to information that I'm not, but they're still working on it. They still want to come here, and so we look forward to that.
Thank you. Public have any questions for Finance? Council? Thank you. Police Department? Okay, I'm not sure what the next department is.
We'll put them on a committee.
Oh, does the comfortable chairs have anything to report? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And no legal, any updates? Okay, nothing from legal. Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, there's a few items that I just want to piggyback real quick on our interim finance director as it relates to F&M Bank. I've been in communication with the Liberty Plaza owner and the agent, and they're actually working right now and trying to help facilitate the acquisition of that. I guess back in the day, it used to be a bank. Mayor,
Yes, it was.
was not aware of that. I just remember the Hollywood video and then the church. But anyways, that facility is being looked at. That would actually be, I'm really encouraging that specific space, because it would really live in that area, create a lot of foot traffic for a lot of the businesses, and I think a lot of the other spaces that are vacant in that area will not be vacant. So that's kind of what's going on there. The other thing too that I wanted to share is that by the next council meeting, finally after 3 different recruitments, we've been able to find, I was recommending the specific finance director. Apparently she's from the city of, or she works in the city of Manteca, and so there'll be a contract coming before council at the next council meeting. Her name is Vanessa. What's her last name, Brett? Portillo. Okay, got it. Got it. Portillo. This is the last name. So, anyways, so that's what's going on there. Also, just keep in mind, we're going to be, in the next few days, we're going to be letting everybody know when we're going to have our official mural dedication. They finally put in several layers of, UV protection and then graffiti protection out there. So we want to make this is a big, huge thing, and we want to make sure we invite the community. And I also wanted to thank the Aguilar family for donating the bronze plaque that's going to be put out there with the recognitions and so forth. So stay tuned for that. Now, I just wanted to just reiterate, how important this document, that is still a living, breathing document, that we've been, when the community got together several years ago and outlined how they wanted to see Livingston, grow and also put in some aesthetics and improve our downtown. Those piano keys, that was all, and the roundabout, all these different things are all tied even. And then there's an item on tonight's agenda, which is part of the SB2 planning housing funds, which Mr. Segal is going to talk about. That area along B Street, that was all talked about in here, and so we're just following the plan. So thank you for all those of you who participated in that in the establishment of that document. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Mrs. Patricia Ramos Anderson, that's holding one of the other hot seats over there. She's here tonight, and I wanted to take a quick moment to have her speak about the complete count committee that we would like to establish here in Livingston. We all know that everybody, the census is important all the way around, but it's more important to us for Livingston because every person that's counted here, you know, there's a certain amount of money that's allocated. It's about $20,000. So we want to count every living, breathing person around here. And so to do that, the best way to do it is to make sure that we participate. And so, Patricia, if you can talk a little bit about the committee and some of the responsibilities and when we want to get this thing going. While she's going up there, I'll just talk a little bit also about train and all those energy efficiency projects that we were talking about. Well, we had a utility stakeholders meeting, and they recommended, and so before council at the November 19th meeting, we'll be bringing the $2.9 million and also the U.S. Bank, and as it relates to the financing behind this. If we get anything with the better financing, we'll update everybody. For right now, we're looking at a 2.74% interest rate. So, Patricia, go ahead.
Thank you. It's very important, the next steps for a lot of the cities and lessons learned in 2010. We found out that the partnerships that we had and the complete count committees were very effective. What we discovered is that they played a major role in the communities in getting a much more better accurate count. And the reason why was because you had committed members, you had members that were committed to being partners. They took ownership of the census process and the outreach. That's what made the big difference. And the key things were that they formed the complete count committees, and the purpose was to implement, execute, and make sure we had an accurate count. Locally based outreach. That is key. Locally hired residents. They know the layout, they know the community, they know the local areas, raise awareness, and ultimately get the residents to self-response. That's the new thing we're doing now in 2010. Once you get that card in March 12th of that week, you can call, they'll ask you the questions, you answer them. You could do it online, or you can do it by asking for the form and mailing it in. But also the key factors of the success of the count committees was that the members were knowledgeable of their areas. They understood their communities, but most importantly, they knew what it takes to engage, inspire, and get our residents involved and get counted. The structure is very easy. I even have a role as a partner specialist working with the count committees. One, to help you with information, resources, and also for advice. The local chair, you have your members that serve also as ambassadors at the state and local level for us. But what's really key is that the community involvement is successful, that they be involved. And the recommendations is that it's designed to reflect the community that are the members, especially that there's a true snapshot of the community. We're also using new technology, iPhones, different social media to communicate with each other. Also, the traditional emails. But we also need to include a diverse participants on the committee. Our aging community, government, community-based organizations, the business community, as well as the healthcare providers here. They play a key role because all of us need federal funding. $675 billion is what is used to sustain the health of many of our residents here. Your infrastructure, your investment, you're talking about road improvements. That's a lot of the federal money that you guys are matching up with the state and working with MCAG. But in closing, there is 675 billion reasons of why we need to organize as a count committee. It's local control. We're working together. The left hand, the right hand knows what's going on, and you also are able to pull in the other resources. One of the things people thought was California was going to come in and do all the outreach, or that the federal government was going to do the whole census. It's about partnerships. It's about working together. Ultimately, the local community is the one that's going to make it successful because they have a major buy-in. And it's that $675 billion of money that will come back to the community, and that's the incentive. So thank you very much. I just wanted to let you know that is the next step that we really need to focus on, because if we wait for others to come do for us, or we expect them they're going to give us an accurate count of our community, Learn from the mistakes of 2010. They don't know the community, they don't know how to engage, and also how to work with the interfaith communities, etc. The account committee will have that set up, and you'll be working and talking amongst each other. And you choose to decide if you want to meet once a month or once every other month. But again, what made it successful is that we got a head start. You do not wait till next year to start your committees. That's a lesson learned, that it could have been much more effective, but if you start earlier, you're going to gain more momentum and more an accurate count. Thank you.
I don't know, Mayor, do you see anybody in the audience that might want to be in the count committee? Uh-oh, somebody's in the hot chair.
I think that we had some folks that are from the comfortable chair committee.
Yes.
No, what we'll do is we can help you spread the word, put it on the website, and see if, and we will try to work on something, because it is important.
Yes, it's your local control and it's your vested interest, and you're the faces, you're the folks that people trust. You're the trusted leaders, as well as our community residents, to be there. And if we could do something by next month, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then also another item that I wanted to share with everyone, the utility stakeholder, the next meeting is going to be next week, Thursday, at 6 o'clock. And as part of that, as you know, the utility stakeholder has been working really diligently with our rate consultant. So the rate consultant is going to be presenting on the 14th. My hope is that whatever the final numbers are going to look like. And then from that point forward, then it's going to come to council. Council then would have to give direction and adopt and start the 45-day period, which is part of the Prop 218 process. And so the goal is to implement whatever the new rates are going to be late January, early February is basically what it's going to look like. In addition to that, I have one more item. Actually, we've been working with this item that's on the agenda, the SB2 grant funding. We're also looking at other funding because as you might recall, at the last couple of meetings, we've been talking about the 35 acres along B Street and the multifamily housing projects, and the fact that Visionary Housing has actually gone into contract for about 5 acres or so over there for some multifamily. Well, we're looking at, we actually got a notice of funding availability notice today, and there's some home funds, and the NOFA's out for home funds, and so we're going to look at going after some of these funds and partnering up with Visionary Housing and other partners to have access to some of this money so that we can, develop some much-needed housing out in that neck of the woods. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about our just fiscally. We would like to be fiscally responsible and prudent, and so the budget's something that's a living, breathing, document all the time. And so we're always constantly looking at economic indicators, revenues and expenses. And so I've had to ask staff, this year to look at their budgets, and I asked for a 10% reduction across the board. So we've been having a lot of different meetings, and as part of that, there's decision-making that is taking place. And I wanted to kind of, I know there's some rumors that are out there floating around, so I wanted to make sure that I shared that what's taking place has nothing to do with travel budgets. Okay, that's, the travel budget that was approved during our budget process, that's the budgetary amount, and every category has their budgetary amounts that was approved. And then also, keep in mind that the fiscal year starts July 1st of every year. So I know that some folks look at last year's fiscal budget, and then they look at this fiscal year budget, and then they try to combine both, but in reality, they're separate. So just FYI for that. And then also, in relation to, there were some comments that were made about the tree program, and that's one of the Christmas tree program, and that's one of the programs that that I was talking about, where we, as staff, we sit down and first of all, the first line is department heads. They come up with recommendations, they talk to our finance director, and then at the end of the day, then they come to me and we make other changes. And so we're not picking anybody. We're just trying to be fiscally prudent and always looking at the numbers coming in and going out. And so I just wanted to share that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to council comments. Councilwoman Bautista?
Yes, I attended the annual conference, the League of Cities Conference, October 16th through the 18th. Very useful information that I got from many of the workshops that they had there. Basically, so for my own understanding of things that I'm most interested in, and just some things that at a later date that I'd like to sit down with the city manager and discuss.
Anything else?
Also, oh, yeah. Again, I did come back with a lot of information. I've talked with farmers. I've gone out and I've reached out to a few people in the community that would share the same interests as I, and again, would sit down and discuss this with with city manager and see what can be done on behalf of the citizens in Livingston. Also, I just wanted to share, the VFW is having their parade, the Veterans Day Parade, on November 11th. Step off is 11 a.m. prompt. And they will have soup after the parade. And again, those details have been given to me from Dennis Wells. And he has contacted others in the community. And I just wanted to share that, if you're in Livingston, come out and support our veterans, be out there and help salute them and honor them as they pass by. They also wanted to share, and I'm speaking on what Dennis had shared with me, that if there are other organizations or other events within the city that people are conducting and that they would like the VFW Post to come out and present with them, they are more than happy to. They just need some notice. Also, I wanted to share, because I am part of the youth football program and real dear to me. Friday night, our Livingston High School varsity football team will be going into the first round of playoffs in Sacramento. And the following day, our youth football program will be hosting the first round of playoffs. Each team has made it into the playoffs for Livingston Youth, and that has never happened. So again, if you want to come out and support the teams, November 9th is the youth program. The times are 1, 3, 5, and 7. I'll be at the gate. And so come out and support our Wolves Friday and Saturday night. I know it's in Sacramento on Friday, but again, it's something to be excited about. At least I am.
Mr. Aguilar?
Just real quick, just good job to the rec department regarding the trunk or treat. It was a great event, a lot of community participation. So I'm glad to see everybody came out for that. In regards to the utility stakeholder meeting, it was obviously going to come to the council for approval. And it seems, as far as attending the meetings, that it's really good information, really good programs out there, and it's always good to look at where we could improve in regards to utility improvements and equipment improvements in regards to utility. So I'm excited to have that come to the council for approval, and hopefully we get support from everybody. Also, I attended the Latino for Water Quality Summit that Supervisor Espinosa coordinated. It was a free event in Fresno with a lot of good information. Obviously, water is a very important issue in the Valley and Livingston specifically. So thank you for hosting. Appreciate it. Also, looking forward to the ribbon cutting regarding the murals project. We don't have any idea. Probably in the next few weeks will be coming up. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what else. Just once again, rec commission and department. It's exciting to see the teen council participate in the interviews. A lot of youth eager to be involved in the community and in government. So it's exciting to participate in those interviews and see all those teens doing a great job in high school and for the community. Also, I just wanted, Jose's question for you. Could we get an update on the grant for the fire department cart? Do we have any information about that? I know we were waiting to hear back, or there was I guess the grants were done issuing for this year, but I just want to get an update.
Yep, perfect.
Because, it's a very important piece of equipment that they need specifically for the football season, so just want to get an update. Also, I've been working with a youth group from the California Health Collaborative. I've been working with our city attorney regarding a resolution or ordinance against vaping. The way I see it is, parents are responsible for parenting their kids and then, keeping an eye on them. The schools are responsible to, monitor that, but also us as policymakers, we're responsible to put a part in that. So that's why I've been working with the youth group and the city attorney to come up with something, and hopefully we bring it, I don't know, maybe next council meeting for discussion or the meeting after that. Also, I know we had talked about the grant for Prop 68? I know that, there's been the past discussions regarding the two buildings we're purchasing. I know that sooner or later we have to have another discussion regarding that, correct? So I don't know how soon we want to start have it in the agenda to have further discussion in regards to the whole project and how is it going to look and if we're going to approve that. And so it's already, it's November, so it's probably should get on the agenda sooner than later.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. I'll share that our purchase agreement or option to purchase would expire, I believe, on the 30th of January. And if I remember correctly, we should be getting word from the state that there's going to be awards given out in December. So there's a little bit of a cushion. We have, hopefully, a month cushion to know whether we receive the grant or not. And as a matter of fact, we have the state is actually going to come and meet with us related to the grant, kind of interview us and all that kind of stuff. Is that on Thursday? Oh, is it tomorrow? Okay. So it's tomorrow. Yeah, I knew it was this week. So so they're going to come out and we're going to put our best clothes and yeah, and our best demeanor to wow them. So yes, thank you.
Mr. Kang?
Well, I just want to thank Anthony and his guys for the great barbecue last Saturday, and especially everybody that volunteered their personal time, including all council and mayor. Thank you, guys.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I got a few things. First of all, the Marine Corps birthday is November the 10th, which is Sunday. They'll be turning 244 years old. And also another day, Veterans Day, the following day, the 11th. And, if you guys just go out there and, reach out to a veteran and just say thank you, that means a lot to us. That shows us that you guys still support us out in the community. And just a little thank you. That's all it takes. And another thing, I also attended the conference down in Long Beach. And there was one class that it's like a trial. So I think that's the one that I'm going to be talking about here real quick. It's on you. and it's called the Rural City Information Exchange Meeting. So what that does is it provides an opportunity for rural cities to connect and learn from one another in expert fields that impact their community. So at this time, I mean, like I said, it's on you, so they still don't know how it's all going to work out, how we're all going to connect. So that way, small communities like Livingston, Gustine, Los Banos, Los Palos, they have a voice too up in Sacramento. So they're working on that. And then my next thing is, there's a lot of rumor out there by individuals on Facebook, I mean, social media, about council members doing, I don't know, going the wrong way of how we're spending money here in the city. Another thing also that people have to realize is that we all have jobs also. We all have to take time from our family, vacation time, you know, our pay at work, that affects us also. So it's just not just one thing. I mean, you guys have to see, or whoever's posting these posts have to see it overall. And I don't think that any of us want to take advantage. We're not out there taking any kind of vacations, whatnot. We're out there to learn. Most of us are new on the council. Myself, in politics. So I would like to go out there and try to learn more information, no matter how small it is. I mean, it's just like in law enforcement. I mean, teachers, lawyers, they have to go to conferences. Yeah, the sheriff doesn't, or the top official, I should say, doesn't want to spend extra money. However, he knows that, or she knows that it's important. Why? Because of liability purposes. I mean, so that way, whoever's in that expert field could do their job more comfortable and look out for the city. So I just want to make that clear right now that I'm not out there having a good old time. I'm out there to learn. So, and I've said it before. If you guys have any questions, I have a phone. There's also a tablet. At any time that you guys want this tablet, I will provide it to you. And it's here. And that's a tablet that was provided from the city to some council members. So feel free to ask, and I'll turn it over to you. I have an email, and there's an office. Leave a message. And not one time has anybody reached out to me if they have any issues. So what I suggest is that when in doubt, come and find the person and talk to them face to face, and so we could resolve the issue and squash rumors. So, and then within closing, I mean, we all know social media. People want us to go back and forth, and what do we gain? Nothing. So it's like a lose-lose situation, right? So I'm going to quote this quote by George Bernard Shaw, which quotes, "I learned long ago never to wrestle with the pig. You get dirty, besides the pig likes it." I am my quote. Thank you.
How do I top that ending? Well, I think I did. Just wanted to, first of all, thank the council. As being a senior member, I've been at it. I don't need as much training. I've kind of been there, done that kind of far as training. I really do appreciate your enthusiasm in going out and learning things. I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. It is time consuming. You do take away from your vacation. It's a time that instead of going out there someplace with your family, you're out there with some other elected officials. It may be fun, but you know, you do take away from your family, and I do appreciate and thank the council for their sacrifice as far as taking time away from their families. Takes a lot of time. And on the last part, adding into what Councilwoman Baptista said and Mayor Pro Tem regarding the Veterans Day Parade, just remember, folks, we are sitting here comfortably and not worried about things because of sacrifices made by the people. I put this up there on today on Facebook as well in saying, thank to all the veterans for what they've done for us. We respect them, we honor them. So, and I also put down is come out and support them, show them that you care, and we are going to have these mattress sales going to be available all the time. So just put it off. These folks slept in foxholes so we can do what we do. Yeah, they did it for us. We don't have to be in the foxholes. At least we can go out and show, thank you very much. We appreciate what you've done for us. You guys have given us you guys put on a debt on us we can never repay for your sacrifice, but at least come out. Most of us do have a day off. Come on out. It's the least we can do for our folks. And with that, I want to thank everybody, and we'll move on to item number 2. This is the public hearing. This is the resolution approving the general plan amendment 2019-01 and rezone of 2019-01. And I see Mr. Hatch coming up already. Mr. Hatch?
Thank you. If I could ask Monica to put on the first of our slides. And okay, what is before you is a proposal to amend the general plan and to rezone for a certain group of properties in the downtown area from downtown commercial to limited industrial. This area in question, and I'll see if I can work this in partial darkness. Yes. The area that is highlighted in bold black outline is approximately 2.5 acres. And it is an area, as is shown here, designated as downtown commercial. And the proposal is both the general plan and the zoning to go to light industrial, which is the uncolored area on this map. It's supposed to be light gray, but that didn't pick up very well. But this is all currently general planned and zoned light industrial, and we want this area to join in that designation and zoning. And this has been requested by some of the landowners and has been initiated for those that didn't request it by the city. And the rationale behind this is that this area is primarily used for various auto-related uses. It is for auto repair, auto wrecking, auto storage, typical light industrial uses. That's not allowed in the downtown commercial zone. But that used to be allowed in this area. This area in question used to be light industrial, and it was changed a number of years ago, thinking that the city needed more commercial land, and this was an appropriate location for that additional commercial land. That never materialized. The uses that were economically feasible were not general commercial, but were light industrial, and they couldn't locate here. And the existing light industrial uses couldn't expand. They became non-conforming uses. So it created kind of a limbo situation. And so the group of property owners came forward with a request to go back to the past and change the general plan and rezoning. I felt this had some merit, had substantial merit, and so I went ahead and contacted all of the property owners within this designated area that were not part of the original request, and invited them to join in this request at no cost to them, because once you pay the one-time fee, it doesn't matter whether you have 4 property owners or 44 property owners. Cost is the same. So a number of the property owners contacted me by letter and other communication forms and said, yeah, I want to join in this. 4 property owners did not. One of them is the Livingston Farmers Association concerning their property, but the city's in negotiation with that property for an expansion of the recreation center that is proposed in this area. So they may have felt, well, the city's already going to be buying our land, we don't have to respond to this. And then the other 3 property owners were very small parcels. Altogether, that represents 12% of the total area. So the vast majority were in favor of this and joined in the request. So the city initiated the request for those 12% owners. And so with that in place, we then referred it to various agencies and other organizations. There was no opposition from anyone. We then went to a public hearing in September at the Planning Commission meeting, and we had no real opposition. We just had some questions, and we answered those questions. And the Planning Commission thought it was a good idea, and they endorsed this recommendation, and they recommended to you that you go ahead and change the general plan by resolution and introduce
Mr. Hatch,
the
one moment.
ordinance.
Can we make a note that Mayor Pro Tem is leaving the dais, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Any questions or just technical pause? Okay. So that's what we have before you. I have passed out at the dais a copy of the city's general plan map and the zoning map, because those didn't really copy well, and they show blank areas like this vicinity map. So you do have a legible copy of the general plan and zoning. And so basically, the Planning Commission had the public hearing. They're recommending for it. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond to that.
Thank you, Mr. Hatch. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Catherine Shell Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163. Since this would be changing the zoning from downtown commercial to limited industrial, would cannabis-based businesses be allowed in that zoning?
Thank you for that question. We did think about that. And because of the community center that's being proposed here, the cannabis regulations you adopted has distance requirements from various sensitive uses, and a community center is a sensitive use. So the short answer is no, it doesn't meet the distance requirements.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing no one come forward, item is now closed to the public. Council, any comments? No? I just wanted to state that some time ago I had already argued that we were too, I don't want to think a better word, but we thought we could get that downtown commercial going there, but it doesn't. And having all these businesses non-conforming is kind of a headache for them and prevents them from doing a lot of things they want to. So I think we should move forward with this one. And so that's all I have. Does anybody else have any comments? Now, if in order to make a motion, we do have to make two separate motions. One is for the amendment to the zone, and the other one is for the ordinance. So, does anybody wish to make a motion at this time? Oh, I'm sorry, the resolution.
Yeah.
So, does anybody wish to make a motion? We have to do two separate. We have to do the resolution, vote, and then do the ordinance. Okay?
Make motion approving the general plan amendment 2019-01.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second? I will second it. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
And just for the record, that was for the resolution that's in the packet, the resolution of the city council amending the general plan.
Yes. And does anybody wish to make a motion on the ordinance? Okay, I make the motion we introduce and waive the first reading of the ordinance number amending the city of Livingston zoning map. Motion by the mayor. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Councilman Aguilar. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Citizens' comment. This section of the agenda allows the members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized, mayors should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with the state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by city council this evening. For items which are on the agenda, this evening, the members of the public will be provided opportunity to address the city council as is brought for discussion. Does anybody wish to citizen comment? Please come forward. Huh? That's done.
Hi, again, my name is Ronald Mallarney. I am the pastor at Emmanuel Baptist Church here in Livingston across from Memorial Park. I'm not sure who's in charge of the parades in town, giving permits, whatever, to them, but on the Sundays, we've had, recently it's getting worse, we're being blocked. Our people cannot come into church. The roads are blocked off. If whoever is in charge of that could kind of just route them straight down Main Street or whatever, we're trying to work on getting a back entrance from the alley into the parking lot so they can at least come in. But this last time, it literally surrounded the block. They couldn't come in at all. So that would be the first one I would like to look at. The second, there is a second issue. The second issue is we've had one of our girls, Esmeralda, was hit a few years ago right there by the high school at night. We've had the gentleman right by the Portuguese Hall had his truck hit during the middle of the night. Evidently, one of the police cars recently has been hit over there at Main Street and Park. We've also had, of course, about a year or so ago, the incident where the car literally took out the bus stop, et cetera, ended up on our property. If it would be the speeding, the screeching of their tires, burning rubber, et cetera, around there is excessive. We've had an awful lot of it. I would love to see speed bumps, but I'm willing to settle if we can get a stop sign put in there at the corner of I Street and Main, so that as they head out of town, it stops them, they have to stop, and the same thing then across the street at Park and Main, having a stop sign so that they have to stop before coming through town. I'd really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public? If not, the citizen comment portion now closed. Consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial. It will be enacted by one vote unless a separate action is requested by the city manager or council members. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council Our city manager requests a specific item be removed. Item number 3, approval of the warrant registered October 15, 2019. Number 4, approval of the warrant dated October 30, 2019. Number 5, approval of minutes meeting held October 1st. Number 6, resolution approving the application for capita grant funds. Does anybody wish to make a motion at this time?
Make motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Councilmember Merrick. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Kang. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista.
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, item number 7, this is the resolution authorizing the application for the State of California SB 2 Planning Grant Program. Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, we actually, Mr. Segala is here, is going to be talking a little bit about the specific grant, but I'll just kind of open it up by mentioning that this is something that, this is related to the 35 acres. As you know, housing is something that is very important to this community, so we want to master plan that 35 acres. This will allow us to do that, and with the help of Segala Inc., we should be well underway. So, Mr. Segala?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Mayor, council members. Thank you for the honor of having me here tonight. Michael Segala, I'm based out of Fresno Clovis area. I'm an urban planner, affordable housing, and real estate professional. Been working with Jose and other folks here at Randy at the city on this application. Before you tonight is a discussion item to approve a resolution to apply for this SB2 planning grant. These monies are from the state of California for housing planning activities that support your housing element, to provide multiple housing options for various income groups in your city. This money is available through legislation in 2017. It's over-the-counter funding, and the city of Livingston, due to its population size, is eligible for $160,000 of this one-time funding pot. Now, we've had multiple discussions with the Joseph Gallo family about this site that you're all familiar on B Street. It was originally, it is zoned and planned for commercial. However, it's been a little slow going on that, so we've talked to them, and they are open to a consideration of planning this for housing, for a mixed-use urban village, if you will, of various types of housing products. Multifamily, could be single family, could be townhomes, right? Could be multiple different types of housing types for various income groups. So low income, moderate income, regular private pay, right? Private market rate. So we don't know exactly what we could come up with at the end, but this is why we're doing this activity. We brought the State of California Strategic Growth Council staff from Sacramento on a van tour of Livingston to look at this site, and they were very encouraged by it. We continue to have discussions with the State of California because, as you know, there's several $1 billion over the next 5 years available to support housing in the state. It's a big goal and objective in the state of California, so we feel the timing is right for this, and I think the Gallos were very interested in the timing of housing money in California for housing. So with this planning grant application, we would do a specific plan for this site. It would include open space, bike and trail connections, maybe some limited commercial space. Probably have to have a community meeting or two to get some input on what's right there, and with your input as well. We would look at the document Jose noted earlier, from the Congress and New Urbanism for input on this. But the idea is to come up with one site that's sort of master planned, master zoned with design standards and everything else attached to it, so that the private sector could come in and acquire parcels in here. Maybe 5 to 6 different parcels could be on this site that would be pre-approved for planning, environmental review already done, and so it would cut the time frame for development for this site when you take the whole site out at once. The state of California is Sacramento is very encouraged by Jose's leadership on spearheading this and bringing it to you for this site. This is a very good, well-centered site in the middle of your city, surrounded by excellent complementary uses, as you see on the map. So it could fare well in terms of the next 5 years of once we get through the planning process of acquiring or being eligible for the multiple pots of housing money, and not only the housing money, but the infrastructure money associated with a lot of these programs now. So there's a lot of infrastructure money associated with housing that could help, for example, underground those canals that traverse the site and make this really development ready. So the private sector acting on its own obviously couldn't get this going on the commercial side because of those two canals, but I think if we worked with the state and get the money for infrastructure, we could really make this a winning proposal, if you will. So the scope of work, and Randy, he's the planner, but he can talk about it, but we'll have to do a general plan amendment, rezone, like I mentioned, density and design guidelines, land use circulation element, and a CEQA document to go along with this. There could be additional pre-approved architectural and site plans, engineering feasibility work related to those canals, infrastructure financing plans, and other activities. So again, the role is the city, with our help and Randy's help and other consultant work, gets the site ready for development. The outcome could be unprecedented. We're looking at maybe 5 to 6 sort of residential sites in there. You see the one visionary home site at the bottom corner. They're moving forward on that. They would be part of this whole planning activity as well. Probably anywhere from 500 to 1,000 units of housing could be sited on this development if everything goes according to plan, with about half of those set aside for folks earning 80% of the area median income or less. So the property owners are fine with that. We've had discussions with them, and they would like to, in a partnership with the city, I'm not representing the owners, but in a partnership with the city, conduct this planning activity for that site. Again, there's a lot of moving parts here. It's a big undertaking. This is probably the biggest infill parcel in Livingston for sure, and it's probably one of the biggest ones in the whole San Joaquin Valley. So your work here is going to be instrumental, and it's groundbreaking, if you will. It's a pioneering type activity that you will be doing that will be showcased for the rest of the San Joaquin Valley, we feel. So again, you would save lots of time on the development process, and if we can match it with that infrastructure money, you would save millions of dollars and really complement the city. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better site in terms of the amenities around it, so it would really be a knockout win for the city. The total request is for $160,000. There will be additional monies coming to the city too in the future for other housing planning work that the state has approved money for, but this is for the SB2 specifically. Let's see. I think that's it. There will be a host of obviously professionals to be hired. I will be in. This will probably come back at a later time under contract as well to help manage this process for you. Randy is part-time, and so our firm can provide it and get it done, and we have a very strong record of working in communities and throughout the San Joaquin Valley and getting activities like this conducted. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Randy, who will walk you through the action items.
Thank you, Michael. Michael's pretty much covered it, and so, this grant funds will be used to hire the team that will develop this specific plan. I will be a participant, but I won't be doing this, so we will have to bring in some land use planners, we will have to bring in some environmental consultants, and some engineers and so forth on this. So that's what the purpose of the grant funds are for. And as we've all stated, this will facilitate and make this site development ready for other projects. We anticipate that the other projects that are affordable will compete well for their round of funding. And so this is a multi-stage project, and we're at stage 1 and asking for your authorization for us to put in that grant. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Hatch. This item is open to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment? Please.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cover all these different things, just the two. My concern would be, having lived in Sunnyside, having lived in areas like that, seeing what's happened in Atwater, my concern would, and I mean, I'd love a lot more people coming to church, but I'm concerned if there's going to be a bunch of apartments there, that just brings a very unsavory element usually when you've got a bunch of apartments together. So I would ask caution.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, this item is now closed to the public. Council? Councilwoman Batista, any comments? Oh, okay. Mr. Aguilar?
No, I think just in general, the plan sounds solid. I mean, I think it's important for us as policymakers to, I know there's a issue, a lot of issues regarding affordable housing, so I think this will, facilitate an option for those who can't afford, and get stable housing options in the city. So I think it's a solid, efforts that Jose has been working on. So in regards to the grant, yeah, I mean, of course we'll support it.
Okay. Councilmember Kane? For me, Mr. Aguilar and I think we're on the same page. It is a good project, I think. It's not just all apartments. When it says 500 to 1,000 units, we don't know, because we don't know what the plan's going to be. I imagine, and then I can't say anything right now because it has to come back and go through planning and future development. No. But some of that site probably will be taken up by commercial. So it's not just all homes. And another good thing is, yes, it could have some multi-residential units there. City of Livingston is starting to hit against our affordable housing. We're getting close to where we're going to have other programs in here. Otherwise, we're going to be out of compliance, so we do have to do things. So it's going to be a plan with the community, everybody input. Another good thing is, depending on how the future is, within walking distance, you have access to K through 8 schools. And so you have walking distance to a medical clinic, shopping. There's a school across the street, literally. And then just a little bit down to the west of it, there's a middle school too. So it's kind of somewhat centrally located. And I think, and I don't know what the future council is going to do because there's no timeline what it'll be, is it could also work with our walk to, some other bicycle routes and different programs can be all incorporated in here as well. So it's got a potential for a lot. I mean, I'm just roughing just by looking at it, but not exactly, I mean, this would be the community councils and, for it to come back with. So I think, I agree with Mr. Aguilar. I think we do need to move forward with this. Question is, yes, we'll be needing to hire, like Mr. Hatch said, now this 160,000 grant will cover, when you say it will cover planning, does it cover personnel costs too?
Yes, so this funding is going to cover personnel costs. It will actually allow us to actually put some renderings together, some actual plans in place. So this, of course, is music to everybody's ear because we can actually do something with other than just planning things. We can actually have documents in hand that are going to be used. I wanted to follow up by sharing, in addition to what the mayor said, all of the multifamily apartment complexes that are built in this community, we make sure that there's actually maintenance agreements. There's certain conditions that they have to meet. So they can't, their facilities have to be maintained, painted, because we don't want exactly what you just said. In addition to that, the circulation of that site, like the mayor mentioned, there's going to be more than likely, when I say circulation, I'm talking about streets and multimodal. As you notice, more than likely, there's going to be connection to a street punching through all the way through the backside, so that B Street's not the only, artery into town. And then we're also trying to lure the ACE train here that we've been working hard with, which is not too far away. And we have the transit center. We program about $1.9 million. All of that is all tied together. And so we're just trying to position ourselves to be able to have access to a lot of infrastructure money and make sure that we plan everything. And if you get a chance to look at that one document, you'll see that we talked about smart codes and smart growth and all those things. So thank you for your comments, Pastor.
And just
Okay, Mr. Aguilar?
just real quick, just to follow up, yeah, we've had conversations, and most likely there'll be some business options there, and not only apartments but homes and townhouses and live and work is definitely. And this is actually a conversation we had a few years ago where we drove through one of the jurisdictions you used to work for, and you showed me kind of the projects you worked over there in regards to affordable housing, and it was very, very impressive the work you did over there. So I'm glad that you're following that work here in the city. So I commend you for that.
Okay, council, any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I just wanted to make another comment.
Oh, call, please, please.
With all that, is there a probability also, I know that there's been lots of talk, and it was addressed earlier about the homelessness, veterans homelessness. Is there anything that we could, the probabilities of what could happen in the future, again, making sure that we...
Yes. Yeah, this is open. It's living, breathing, so you guys are going to have an opportunity to provide lots of input. But just so that you can kind of get a palette of all the things that staff has been throwing out, we talked about, of course, for veterans, we talked about memory care facilities, we talked about senior housing, different types of multifamily, live, work, kind of like a community, some business community in there. So mixed use, really. And there's plenty of time to provide input. What we want to do is position ourselves so that we are ready to go after funding. We had this, I mentioned in an email that I sent out to the council that we were able to get the Strategic Growth Council to come here. They love the site because of all the amenities and all the things that are going on. So I know that we're going to make a nice big dent, and who knows, we might even get, this will be part of trying to get the governor to come to Livingston in addition, because we got other things that he would love to come here for, and so this only gives him another incentive.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion approving the resolution authorizing application for the State California SB2 Planning Grant Program.
I have a motion by Mr. Aguilar, Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Baptista. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Semra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number 8, this is a resolution accepting the completion of the water line replacement project Phase 3. And this is Mario. Okay, Mr. Govilla, you're on. Tell us how you spent $1.1 million.
That's right. A lot of pipes. So the project, this was a CDBG funded project, as I'm sure you recall, and it has been completed for a little while now. So we're just wrapping up documents, paperwork. So now it's time to bring it to council for a formal acceptance. So this will basically move into the closeout stage with CDBG. So the project was originally about $1,080,000, and when it was all complete, it was about 1.16 million. So very little extras, and there was actually some of that stuff. That extra was actually a little bit of work that the city wanted to do since they were in there. There were some unknowns in terms of pipes, what was underground, because those were so old. So those have been figured out, so now at least we know exactly what the city has there. So at this point, we're ready to wrap it up, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gavia. This item is now open to the public. Anybody from the public wish to comment or ask questions? Seeing nobody come forward, council, any discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion accepting the completion of the water line replacement project, Phase 3, 16 CBG 11142, authorizing the deputy city clerk to file a notice of completion with Merced County, and authorizing the city manager to make final payment of retention monies to the RTC Construction Management Incorporation.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Batista. Do you have a second?
I second it.
A second by Councilman Aguilar. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, I have, next item is to provide direction to city manager on establishing ad hoc traffic committee. Mr. Govia, you're still there.
I'm still here. And this is something, maybe the city manager wants to do a little opener on this. Would you like that?
Yes, yes. As you know, we've been, Pastor, the perfect timing, okay?
Exactly.
You might even, I don't know, Council, you might even have a taker right here. So, we've been getting quite a few inquiries for stop signs, speed bumps, bulb outs, you name it. And so, in talking to my staff, I decided that it would be best, because we need to educate the community, I would like to say it's as easy as 1, 2, 3 to put a stop sign up, but in reality, there's so many aspects that go into that and things that we have to think about. And so this will give an opportunity for staff and some community members to partake on this, so that we can think through this thoroughly, because there's been instances where, community says, well, we want speed bumps, and then a little later, oh, we don't want the speed bumps anymore. And so anyways, this ad hoc committee is for that purpose, and at this point, whoever council wants to appoint from, the community in general, they're welcome to, but we'll have technical staff on there, and we'll meet as needed.
Correct. I can just, going through the staff report a little bit here, kind of examples of what this committee would be doing. Look and say the need for a stop sign would just go through the criteria normally used for evaluating the need for those, and that protects everybody, protects the public, protects the city, so that these things are actually done in a manner that's sound.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify, because I made mention about council. I'm going to form the committee, okay? But I certainly am open for, suggestions from anybody in terms of who would be great to be on there, okay? So, all right.
Yes.
We got to take her here.
And the suggestion here in terms of diverse number of folks, it would be Public Works, Engineering, Police, Planning Commission, and Public. So that's a suggestion. Normally, these committees are normally formed with members from these entities or these folks. And I have a little suggested flow chart also here. That would, and I'll just go through it. It would start with citizens bringing these comments or requests to the city. They would be routed through Public Works, who then would route it to the Traffic Committee. The Traffic Committee would evaluate the request and then bring it to Council. Council would either make a decision at that time, yes or no, or modify it, or take it back to the traffic committee for reevaluation, and then it would be coming back to the council for a final decision that would then go back to both the traffic committee and public works, and public works would inform the folks that did the request on what the decision was. If it's going to be implemented, then public works would take the lead on that, either do it or arrange for it to be done.
Thank you, Mario.
Sure.
Okay, public, any comments, questions?
Okay, Catherine Shaw Rodriguez again. The last time I went and looked up the municipal code as it has to do with traffic and things like stop signs, I noticed a paragraph about the chief of police having the authority to make certain changes as he sees necessary for safety. So I was wondering how that would fit in on your flow chart.
That's a great question, and there's a member of the police here, so could very likely be the chief. So that's up to the city if they want to do that. Even though the Muni Code says that, there are guidelines that are recommended to be followed for these to be properly implemented.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the public? If not, items now closed. Public councils comments?
The recommended positions from Public Works and Police, or is that as added duties, or is this?
No, these are part of their ongoing duties. They're just, because I'm forming this committee, they're just going to be assigned to it, and it's going to be done during working hours. You know, and a lot of these department heads are also, there's no overtime for them. So we'll try to work with the availability of those from the community that are going to be part of this. And it's only going to be as needed. We'll have meetings.
In regards to just my comments, I know we do get a lot of petitions out there from the community regards speed bumps, stop signs, but I always try to explain to them that there's a process. So this will be good, especially have members from the community participate. In regards to giving direction to you, I will suggest a few names. I will, email you. But I would also like to have fire included in that. Possibly a member from the volunteer company or just staff, so.
Great suggestion, Councilman.
So you're, Mr. Aguilar, you're wishing to add the makeup of a Public Works, Engineering, Police, Planning Commission?
And fire.
And fire and public, or?
So how do you envision this yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So having a broad spectrum of community membership is always really good. So we'll have technical and non-technical people on here.
So this list could be the technical list?
Yeah, that's going to be a technical list. And then I would like to have we would try to have an odd number, okay? And so if there's like a lot of interest from the community that a lot of people want to be on this, we can make it 7 or we can make it 9, and then we'll just take names out of a hat, and see who or we'll figure out a process.
And the public is already included in this list. Here,
Yeah.
So yeah,
it already has a technical and
so
non-technical.
my suggestion or direction would be to make sure you include fire as a technical
Got it.
List, and then in regards to public, I know there are a couple people that are interested, and I'll shoot you an email with their names.
Thank you.
Since you'll be the one putting the committee together.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion at this time, or do we just need to give direction? Is everybody okay with this? for forming a committee? Because it doesn't call for a resolution or anything. It's just a direction. Anybody opposed to this idea? Okay, you got your marching orders. I'm sorry, but it was already closed to the public, so, okay. Yeah, yeah, but it was already closed, so thank you. Okay, item number 10, this is the resolution authorizing city managers to direct the preparation for the community CDBG. There we go. Application in accordance with the CDBG current over-the-counter grant requirements. Mr. Gueva, you are just
There we go.
you're just
my show tonight.
hogging us up today. Okay, making things happen. Go ahead, sir.
There you go. CDBG, as you know, you have received quite a number of grants from CDBG. There will be another. It's called a NOFA, Notice of Funds Available, coming out. There is a twist to this one now. In the past, the grants covered all your costs guaranteed. So if you were awarded, then you started the process with design and bidding, going to construction, close out, all that. In this case now, CDBG is calling it an over-the-counter process, an OTC process, and they're asking that the agencies be ready for construction, so when they do the application. So in order to achieve that, they're going to have plans and specs and contract documents all prepared, ready to go, so that if they're awarded, then they're ready to go into advertising within 90 days, they say. This is all kind of up in the air. It just came out with CDBG, and we have Paul Ashby from our grant folks that is very versed on CDBG, as he's informing us of this. But in talking to staff here recently, we all thought it would be a wise thing to bring it to council so that you know the different nuances now of this OTC process. So basically, the big difference is in the past, when you were awarded the grant, then the whole process started in terms of design and plans and specs and documents and all that stuff. Now they want you to have that at a level that city can certify, say, yeah, we're good to go, we're ready to go into construction. You're really soon if you award, if the grant's successful, if the application is successful. So that means that the city would have to front some monies without the guarantee that you're going to get reimbursed. If the grant is not successful, then you would have spent that money. You do have a set of plans and specs, hopefully waiting for the next NOFA to come out, and the next cycle, they will reimburse you for it if it is successful. They actually, and I know the city manager doesn't even know that because I just found that out on the second go around, and possibly even they may, CDBG may just honor that cost in future cycles, but that I don't know yet. I know at least 2 more they'll honor. So, having said that, we had an application here a few months ago that didn't make it. It was for a sewer project in the same location that the water project occurred in. And I know I came to you folks here with that CDBG application 6 months ago, whenever that was, about a year ago now. And it is this same project that we're looking at applying for again, and it's this $3.2 million project that I referenced here in the staff report in Rezo. So I just wanted to bring this to you, discuss it, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have on that.
Thank you. This item is open to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment? Seeing nobody come forward, this item is now closed to the public. Council discussion?
I have a comment or a question. So just to be clear, if we don't get this grant, they won't reimburse the application cost with the $172,000.
That would be for what we call soft costs prior to going to construction. You wouldn't spend all of that to the point of the award of the grant, but you'd spend a good portion of that. That would be the worst-case scenario if everything was like ready to go the next day. You actually have 90 days after you are awarded to wrap up plans and specs.
However, the funding itself, or the actual plans, the specifications, everything, there's actually going to be something that's going to be produced. So that will make us shovel-ready, and we'll pitch it until we get it, because if I'm not mistaken, I have to ask, but I believe there's loser points too. And that specific area here is a census tract that qualifies. We just haven't. We've been very, very close.
Very close. You missed the...
Being second is
yeah,
not what you want.
You missed the 2 cycles ago, and it was a $5 million grant, and you were the first ones not to be funded. So it's kind of rough, but that
Yeah.
so it was very, very close, but no cigar.
So eventually, we have to do it. Let's say, worst case scenario, we don't get any grants. Well, we have to do that work, because that needs to be addressed. And so we basically have everything ready to go to just do it.
Yeah. And I'll just give you a rough timeline. This even CDBG doesn't quite know, but they foresee coming out in January with the notice of funds, and then they want to turn around on getting an application in 30 days, so it would be February sometime, and then another 30 days for awarding things. So they're looking at like April 1st to award it, which would give you 90 days to put it out to bid, which would be July 1st. So that's, even though it's really, really tight in terms of a CDBG schedule, you still would have till July of next year to put it out to bid. So,
You guys think we do have a good chance of getting that?
yeah, you should have a really good chance. You've been very successful. That's how you got the water. And I really thought you were going to get this one.
Of course, we make some modifications, so we're not like going back with the same thing over
Not
and
the
over
same
again.
exact
So
thing.
we basically rebudgeted, and then we cut out some areas, and we just focused on like the super critical.
Yeah, the dire needs.
Dire, yeah.
Sounds good.
So if you were to not get this one that's going to start in 2020, they basically are indicating that they're going to do, as of now, do this stuff yearly, about with the same timelines. So CDBG would still honor your plans and specs for would be 2021, and likely further out, but they haven't confirmed that. So, and you can always use your plans and specs if you run into a bunch of money somewhere, you can you can use them for that, or if you USDA or some other funding source. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, council, any discussion further? If not, anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion authorizing the city manager to direct the preparation of a community development block grant CDBG application in accordance with CDBG's current over-the-counter or OTC grant requirements.
I have a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Councilwoman Baptista. May I have roll call, please?
Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Council, any further business? If not, we are in adjournment. Thank you.